All right, Ms. Bannister, are we ready?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. We're going to call to order this meeting, Henry County Board of Ethics special called meeting for 6 p.m. All right, Ms. Tuesday, Bannister, are we ready? Tuesday, January
Yes, sir.
30th.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. We're going to call to order this meeting, Henry County Board of Ethics special called meeting for 6 p.m. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm getting feedback. I'm not sure where that's coming from. That's why I stopped. Go ahead, Breezy.
I'm
Unmute
sorry,
this.
Vice Chair. I just went and muted everybody, so you should be good.
Okay. Okay. All right, so Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. We're meeting via Zoom for this special call meeting. We're going to do a roll call, quick roll call. Let me get for District 1, Ms. Ethel McCornell.
Here.
All right, District 2, Craig Simmons. We see Mr. Simmons on the Zoom. District 3, Lauren B. Smith.
Here.
District 4, Anquilla Henderson, our chair, she's absent. District 5, Desmond McLean. Tax Commissioner's appointee, Cynthia Cornog.
Here.
Antonio Taylor.
Here.
High Clerk of Superior Court, selected alternative members, Mr. Thomas Lurie.
Present.
And Mrs. Felicia Harrell.
No, it's Felicia Harrell, but I'm here.
I'm sorry, Felicia. Felicia here. I'm sorry. All right. So we'll go into motion B. What we'll do is we will adopt the adoption of agenda for a special call meeting. If I can get someone who can put the motion on the table, and if I can get a second for that. Whoever wants to. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda for the special call meeting?
I make a motion to adopt. Go ahead, Bree.
Okay,
Make a motion to adopt the special agenda for this meeting.
All right, the motion was made by Bree Smith. Could I get a second?
A second.
All right, second by Miss Olivia McCornell. All any opposed? All approve?
Approve.
All right, everyone seems to approve. All right, we'll go to item C. It's the continuation, discussion, and vote on disclosure 2023 DC3, Andy Welch as general counsel for Jimmy Carter.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and good evening, Board. As Vice Chair has correctly indicated, this is an update from the last meeting. I am going to share my screen. Are you all able to see it okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. This is the continuation of the disclosure, Jimmy Carter 2023, DC3. If the board recalls, there was an official disclosure that was made on 12/14/2023. Mr. Carter serves as a member. At the time that he made the disclosure, he was also the chairman of Henry County's Water Authority Board. He is no longer the chairman, but he does remain a member. He is a shareholder and an officer of J.C. Carter Family LLC. If the board recalls, when we met on January 23rd, the Water Authority voted to sell some surplus land. Mr. Carter realized that some of that land was land that he was interested in, so he disqualified himself from the discussions of the votes. He indicated to this board last time that he stepped outside the room, and they proceeded to go with a sealed bid process as it relates to the sale of the surplus land. The disclosure came up pursuant to Senate Bill 22, and at the last meeting, we ended with a question, almost a two-part question. The first question was the disclosure necessary, being that it was the Water Authority? The second question was if the board really had jurisdiction per se to make a decision about that disclosure and whether or not it's a conflict. We were provided with supplemental information from Attorney Welch that was provided to the board as well. Based on the findings, it is determined that a disclosure is only necessary when there's an official and employee that has an interest that he or she may have reason to believe that may be affected by the official acts or actions or by the official acts or actions of another official employer of Henry County. So to break this down for the board, the code actually defines what an interest is and what official act or action is. And that is what governs disclosures. So an interest is defined as having any direct or indirect pecuniary or material benefit held by or accruing to the official or employee as a result of a contract or a transaction, which may or may not be the subject of an official act or action by or with Henry County. So in order to understand if one has an interest, we then have to see what an official act or action is. And the code defines that as a legislative, administrative, appointive, or discretionary act by the Board of Commissioners, the chairperson of the Board of Commissioners, or a commissioner. So to summarize for the board, essentially, a disclosure has to be made when there's an act that comes directly from the Board of Commissioner, the chairperson of the commissioner, or a commissioner, and the individual has an interest in that act. So that's the first time a disclosure has to be made. The second time is every official or employee who knowingly has an interest, direct or indirect, in a contract to which Henry County is or about to become a party with any other business with the county. So that's the two-part test for the board as it relates to when a disclosure has to be made. And that's important as we break down, or I break this down for you all based on the decision that the board has to make. Senate Bill 22 requires that Henry County not enter into any contract involving services or property with an official or employee of the county, or with a business in which an official or employee of the county has an interest. So before us, we have Henry County Water Authority. A little background of Henry County Water Authority, which the board, this is information the board did not have at the last meeting. It was first created March 28, 1961 by legislation. So this is not a county created or local created entity. This was actually created by the legislation itself. It is a constituted a public corporation and a public authority, and its governing authority is legislative created, and they're not subject to the Board of Commissioners. They are appointed by the Board of Commissioners, but they're not subject to the Board of Commissioners. A great analogy that you all may be able to kind of comprehend a lot better is the Board of Ethics. So the Board of Ethics is also legislatively created, but is not subject necessarily to the Board of Commissioners, but more so to the law itself. This is the bill that created the Water Authority, House Bill 522. And as you can see, it lays out the purpose of why the Water Authority or Henry County's Water Authority was created. Inside that law itself, it also gives certain direction. So it specifically tells the board what they can do, how they are to do it. In that is also the disposal of real property. It lays out how that property is to be disposed of. As you can see, it says in its discretion at a public sale after advertising such notice in the official legal organ of Henry County once a week for 4 successive weeks preceding the date. Any public sale shall be conducted on the courthouse steps, so forth and so forth. To dispose of its real property by accepting sealed bids for the same after advertising such notice in the official legal organ once a week for 2 successive weeks preceding the date of sale, provided nothing in this subparagraph precludes the authority from additionally. So it really just lays out how the Water Authority has to sell property. So why did I kind of break that down for the board? Because the board has 2 things to determine, or basically this is a 2-part inquiry. The first one is whether a disclosure was even necessary. And if it was not necessary, then at what point in time would there be a conflict, and can this board give an opinion? So based on Senate Bill 22, entering a contract with the Henry County Water Authority is not the same as entering a contract with the Henry County itself because they are a separate entity. In fact, to enter into a contract, Henry County Board of Commissioners do not even have a right to vote or to not vote or say what contracts can be entered into versus what contracts cannot be entered into. Henry County Water Authority has legislatively written out what can be done and how it can be done. So because of that reason, my recommendation is one, even though the disclosure was given, I think it was given on air of the side of caution. We appreciate the Mr. Carter making the disclosure, erring on the side of caution, excuse me. However, based on the code, how it is written, it did not have to be given. In addition to that, the board, because the disclosure did not have to be given, truly does not have the authority to give a input whether or not there is a conflict of interest because it is outside of the board's purview under Senate Bill 22. Is there any questions that I can assist you all with?
Quick question, the sale of such property based on their written rules, laws, or bylaws should be held on the courthouse steps, correct?
Based on their rules, let me go back.
Line 83. Line
Mhm.
83.
It's two options. So it seems as though 80 through 85 gives the option of doing it on the courthouse steps. 86 through 94 gives the option of a sealed bid. And if it's the option of the sealed bid, it has to be advertised once each week for 2 successive weeks preceding the date of sale. The value also is determined by at least 2 certified appraisals.
So my question there is the value of a landlocked piece of property, there's really not on the outside looking in a lot of value there. However, when you consider the business that the Carter family is in, yes, the water rights for their farm, which is an agro-tourism destination. But Mr. Carter's son, Jake, he's also appointed to the Georgia Department of Economic Development. That is, I believe, another one of those agencies that I guess the legislature kind of oversees. But right off of their website, it says that they work closely with other agencies and state government, as well as local governments, chambers of commerce, and utilities. These relationships keep us up to date on changing conditions and emerging opportunities. While I appreciate that they didn't really have to make this disclosure, I very much feel like this is something that, yeah, to the right buyer, there's a market. I mean, Mr. Carter's son is also on the board of Snapping Shoals EMC. He could very easily put up solar panels on that 16 acres of property and generate income there. I understand that we cannot say that this is a conflict one way or the other based on how the bill is being interpreted. However, I feel like the spirit of having a board of ethics is in order to kind of cover all of the bases. That's really my input in it, but I understand the reasoning as to why. I just definitely want it on the record that these are some serious questions as to $50,000 for 16 acres of land, how that will benefit, because it will absolutely benefit this family's business. I mean, there's no question about it.
I think that's a good point to put on record for that. Unfortunately, I think because we have so many boundaries, or we have certain boundaries that we have to, or parameters that we have to abide by, we can only do what we can. I see exactly what you're saying, Bree. There's a lot of stuff going on there. But based off of Attorney Bullard's her explanation of everything, I think there's only so much we can do. I'm gonna implore Attorney Rashad to give her opinion, because I'm pretty sure she'll lead us in the right direction of exactly how we should really be thinking. But
Am I unmuted?
yeah, you're unmuted.
Yes, so you're on the exact same page as we were in terms of the analysis. There is only so much you can consider. You can talk about, what was right under the bill, but since they don't fall under our purview, under your purview, then, there is only so much that you can do.
If I could add to Ms. Rashad's comments and the ethics officers, the ethics officer correctly cited 3 different places in Senate Bill 22 where it is very clear that the duty is tied to the relationship to Henry County officials or Henry County directly. So it's clear in the statute, at least, that the intention was to exclude matters that did not involve the county directly. And I think that's kind of the good summary that the ethics officer provided, shows that we left the meeting the other evening having many of the same questions that you did, and we had not studied these issues, and we spent a lot of time with it. And even though the ethics officer was looking at it independently, I hope it gives you all some comfort that all of these lawyers came to the same conclusion as was reported by the ethics officer this evening.
So I guess from this point, are we making is there a motion that needs to be done as far as what our response is going to be, Attorney Bullard, or?
I believe the appropriate motion is just a motion that no action needs to be taken by the board, as it does not fall within the board's purview.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Let me ask you, is there anything that we can do just for the integrity of our board to let them know, okay, hey, no action is going to be taken. However, we do appreciate you being transparent with us. That in itself to me shows a lot of integrity, period.
So when I write up the opinion for the board to review,
okay.
at that point in time, I will put those sentiments in from the board.
Okay. All right, perfect. So if I can get a motion that no action needs to be taken from this point on based off of the information that's been provided by Attorney Bullard, if I can get a motion for that, and if I can get a second. Whoever wants to.
I motion that there's no further action that we should take and that this should be dismissed.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Cynthia Cornard. Can I get a second? I see Antonio. Antonio is seconding the motion. Okay, Antonio. All right, Antonio Taylor is seconding the motion. If I can get all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, I can only assume. I didn't see everybody's hand raised, but hopefully we have
the hand raise. There's a hand raise option, right, in the reactions. You probably can get a hand raise from everybody and count them appropriately if you need to.
Okay. So in the reactions, if I could get everyone who's in approval of this motion. Okay, everybody's there. Okay, there we go. Everybody's there. We go. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Any opposed? All right. So the motion has passed.
Vice Chair, that concludes my presentation in regards to that matter.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Bullard. If I can get a motion to adjourn And following our motion, we're gonna have just a brief little second after that. But if I can get a motion to adjourn, that'll be okay.
I
Motion.
make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, can I get a second?
I second.
All right, a second. All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? All right, motion adjourned. We appreciate